Did it end?
No. no, we're still going.
Is it?
Oh, that's it, yeah.
Oh.
I was just switching over to my Bluetooth,
over.
And that was a bit of a... Yeah. Now I've got rid of the echo as well. We're live here, and we're live on...
I'm sick and tired of this theme tune. It's shit.
I'll do another one.
Someone should make a new theme tune.
I'll put one of the new ones on.
Birds.
So we're live here, and we're live on Dopey Chris's D Live. Right, so should we start? I'll take you like you pair have decided you're going to be a great help tonight, haven't you? Just going to fucking leave me to it, haven't you? Right then, so so anyway, title is A Strange Rain. Started reading Charles Fort's book, which we are going to we need to talk about Charles Fort at some point, because Charles Fort is where the phrase Fortean comes from. So Charles Fort, and then
Colombian market powder for that one, I think.
Yeah. and Charles Fort did speak a lot about strange rain, things that fell down from the sky. So basically what I'm going to do is have a quick flick through Charles Fort's Book of the Damned. The Book of the Damned, unlike you think it would, it doesn't actually mean the damned as in the damned in hell. It means about the damned facts, the facts that are omitted by scientists. Based. Yeah. He's a pretty sound geezer. He was no fan of the scientist.
He's a scientist these days. Isn't the scientist these days.
They're just consensus merchants, aren't they? And they're scientists. They're facts for hire, aren't they?
Yeah, basically, yeah. Yeah, look into peer review and how it works. Yeah, you're damn right. It's fucking facts for hire. I'll just give out 100 different the same study to 100 different researchers, and I'll cherry pick the ones I like.
Well, you know, is a £10,000 research grant. Can you tell me how good my wine is, so I can give the story to the Daily Mail. The Daily Mail are obsessed with like red wine and how good good or bad it is for you that week, depending on who's paying them to put the study in, don't they?
I need to get into this sort of racket.
Yeah, sounds like good money making business there, right?
Yeah, I would write stories, £50 a pop, on how, like, you know, having bacon fried in lard, a glass of red wine or cider, and brown bread is good for you.
I think everyone's still watching Phil's stream, I think.
That's okay.
I'm watching the inside of my eyelids.
David Lane created the 14 words message. No, Charles Hoy Fort created the word Fortean. Somebody's a bit confused in the chat.
With Irish terrorism.
Fortean, not to be confused with the number 14. Right, so so basically what I'm probably going to do is just have a flick through the Book of the Damned, because pretty much most of it he's talking about weird stuff that threw up, and some of this kind of goes back to the things we've been talking about over the past couple of the weeks as well. So he starts in so what years were we covering with the mud flood and stuff?
1800s, possibly earlier. I mean, everything happened in the 1800s, man. The thing about the 1800s, right? And you'll because I've read a bit of this, Charles, guys.
Yeah.
It all happened in the 1800s. It's fucking weird. Everything seems to have happened in the 1800s.
Okay, I've got a little theory about that, right? So Fred Dibner did a book about the history of steam engines, and I thought, it'll be about the Industrial Revolution and James Watt and Roger Trevevic. No, it goes way back to the ancient Greeks, who were using steam power to open and close doors in their temples. So what if the Industrial Revolution was like a cover, because they're saying, that's when people moved in from like the villages into towns, and because they needed manpower for industrialization, that's where steam power came about. What if that, like, all this weird, like, historical revision around the 1800s. What if something else went on there? I'm not sure exactly what went on, but I'm saying that steam power and all of this stuff is probably related.
See, that's interesting. I've never heard the thing about this steam-powered doors in ancient Greece. That is, I need a source for that. That seems
Oh,
something to look.
Fred Dibner, History of Steam Power. It's
I know they're trying to, like, nowadays the modern, like, archaeologists are saying, oh well, the Greeks actually had, like, advanced mining techniques now, like, to get at, like, the bronze and the copper and the stuff in the ground. And it's like, oh, they actually had machinery now, like,
Well, they were also refining asbestos, because I don't know whether you know, Madfuzz. Me and Hobbit have spoken about it many times. Where they used to actually have asbestos napkins. They'd wipe their face and then throw the napkin in the. They'd wipe their face. This is something you're taught on asbestos courses. So, because like part of my work, I have to do asbestos awareness courses, and we're actually told this during the thing that the Romans used to have asbestos napkins. They'd wipe the face on them and then throw them in the fire.
It just seems a bit weird to me because, like, I thought asbestos was brittle.
No, you can weave it into fibres. It can be woven into fibres, because fire blankets in the 60s and that were made of asbestos. Gas mask filters. Gas mask filters, World War II, were made out of asbestos.
And the Russian ones are still up until I think the 1990s made out of asbestos. Yeah, I seem to remember the the Romans would have wicks, everlasting wicks made of asbestos. Yeah,
because it'll burn, but it won't burn in that way, will it?
Yeah, it wicks up whatever fat you've put into it. It just so it's an everlasting wick.
Yeah.
The more you look into this stuff, the more you have to realise that, like, something's fishy about all of this. Like,
well, have you seen that not YouTube, the Twitter account that's called "Mountains Are Just Melted Houses" or something, melted buildings?
Is that the one you posted?
Yeah, I posted it in the Fortean Telegram.
Yeah, I had melted houses.
Is it melted houses? Mountains are melted brick or something. Hold on, I'm gonna have to have a look. I'm gonna have to double check this.
I'm not talking about the ancient trees, with described.
No, this is where they're actually saying that mountains are. Hold on one sec, I've got to find it. Right, so the Twitter channel is actually called Mountains and Melted Brick Buildings.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they're melted buildings. If it were trees, there would be remains of the rest of these giant trees, but there isn't, because it's not that. That's not what they are. Is one of the things in it.
Well, no, I mean, their theory is that, like, these, because of the way the strata is within these like mountains, it's vertical rather than horizontal. It's not actually topsoil accumulation over time. It can't be, because it wouldn't strata like that.
It stratifies like horizontally, doesn't it?
Like,
probably going to end up doing.
Yeah, to get these vertical columns of, like,
it's actually there's I've just found a website. It's actually adrenagate.net. It's got it. Once you here you go. I'll share the page with you. We're probably going to start fucking talking about this now, aren't we? Because it is kind of all pervasive, isn't it? Because it comes into everything, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is kind of what, like, Charles Fort was kind of like talking about. At first, I was like, "What the fuck is this guy on? Like, how high do I have to be?" But then I realised, oh, okay, so he's just basically talking about things that are made.
It's in general in here, the site I've just found.
Yeah, Hemi was sharing some excerpts from Charles Fort's book with me a week ago, and I was reading it. I was just like, "What the fuck have you just shared with me? I don't understand. This is a complete non sequitur." And then you had to say, "This is what Charles Fort wrote," and I was like, "Oh, the guy which we're going to do because that's why the show's called Fortean Words."
Yeah. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Melted buildings, rubble piles everywhere. You have to look. Colorized photos of the Sphinx excavation site in the 1800s. Rare old photos from Egypt. That weird fucking pyramid thing, the flat pyramid thing. Do you see that? That there.
A flat pyramid. Okay, the flat pyramid. You mean the one? Is it the colored one that's next to the Sphinx photo?
It's about halfway down. You can see what looks like a skyscraper that's in the side of a mountain, and next to it is the pyramid-shaped. It looks like something from Las Vegas, doesn't it? It looks like one of those Las Vegas type buildings, doesn't it?
You're right, actually. So,
good evening, Nordic.
Thing,
I'm not late. You're all late.
We're all early.
Yeah, we're on time.
Had to go up PC and get a Steam card.
Are they trying to claim that these buildings are actually freestanding and then like something's happened to like make them?
I think it's back to like I think we're doing it like a mud flood part 3, aren't we? But look at that skyscraper, I mean, some of this could be faked photos. It could be, couldn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you've got to make sure it's authentic, I suppose. Yeah, that's weird. That thing inside the cliff, though. That's bizarre. Like, okay, but that doesn't prove that they're just buildings, right? That's just proving that they could have cut it out of the rock.
Yeah, because there's that thing because I was watching Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade the other day. Because that thing's carved into the rock, isn't it?
Petra, you're talking about Petra, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, Petra. Yeah, that's again, it's these weird buildings that are buried by centuries of like soil that like. Only made 1,000 years ago, and you ask a scientist, how long does it take for soil, to cover this amount of like, and they can't really give you an exact like amount.
Yeah, because in Ethiopia, there's the churches of Lalibela, and it looks like here's a church which has been carved out of the bedrock, and it's a very unusual building. And you asked the Ethiopians, and they said, well, during the day they worked on it, but during the night the angels would come and they'd work on it.
Interesting.
It's utterly bizarre building because, like, whenever you does the thing of saying like the only 2-story buildings in Africa came when the colonists came about. Yeah, except for the pyramids, the Sphinx, and the churches of Lalibela. Those ones are unusual outliers.
Well, ancient Ethiopia used to have a different name. It went by the Kingdom of Sheba, right?
No,
yeah, that was the Queen of Sheba, wasn't it? Because she had the she had the Ark of the Covenant, didn't she? She was rumored to have the Ark of the Covenant.
Yeah.
The Queen of Sheba commissioned the churches of Lalibela.
Yes. Very interesting, isn't it?
Hang on, isn't the Queen of Sheba something to do with King Solomon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is she?
Yep.
Oh. Okay. Interesting people.
Yeah, it's funny how all this stuff seems to be circular, doesn't it? It all seems to come back to the same place again, doesn't it?
Same geographical area, and like it's almost like something started there, or
something.
Yeah.
So
something every single time.
So is Krakatoa part of the mud flood thing?
Krakatoa, you mean the
explosion of 1883, the eruption of 1883?
Well, here's the thing: there's some people that believe volcanoes aren't real, right? I'm not one of those people who subscribe to that because
they are crazy people.
Yeah, right. Okay, right. Yeah, they are. It's like the new. I don't know about the plains guys, maybe. Right. Okay. So yeah, we don't know if the Krakatoa was part of the mud flood thing. I think that was later.
Yeah, because it's 1883. Because we were talking earlier in 1800, weren't we?
Well, saying that, I mean, again, this is kind of how long was the 1800s to have all of this shit happen in it? It was a fucking stat century, right? All the weird shit that happened, like the fires, burning the telegraph poles in the 1850s. Paris losing 6 million people, only 3 million people are alive at the time due to a plague or a fire. There's countless stories of
Charles
burning to the ground in the 1800s. It was
Charles Fort says that Krakatoa went off, and then for several years there were all kinds of atmospheric issues. So you had green suns. I think there was they say there was a green sun in 1883.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. What else is there?
Wait. When they say there was a green sun, do they mean the sun was green, or do they mean there was another sun that was
Well, to quote Charles Foote, so I haven't looked into exactly how they occurred. So he says, in the autumn of 1883 and for years afterward occurred brilliant coloured sunsets such as never seen before within the memory of all observers. There were blue moons. I think that one is likely to smile incredulously at the notion of blue moons. Nevertheless, they were as common as were green suns in 1883.
Yeah, maybe that's where the term "once in the blue moon" comes from, right?
Yeah. Well, they say now that it's part of the cycle, don't they? They occur a couple of the times.
Well, I mean, yeah, this could be the case for this is the prelude to another kind of reset thing.
I think it could have been like a pole shift or something.
Has there ever been proof that the Earth has ever shifted its poles? You know what a pole shift is, right? It's where the north and south magnetically flip.
Well, you see, I wonder about that because in the flat Earth model, there is no South Pole. There's a North Pole, and then South is just the opposite of that. So any direction opposite North. Now, I'm wondering about this, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, so if the world is flat and there's evidence of pole shifts, where you look at the sedimentary layers on the abyssal plain and you see that the magnetic iron particles they form one way or another based every 10,000 years based on which way the pole's pointing. And then I think, okay, so on the flat surface and you've got magnets, maybe it's just there's a different flow. I'm not sure what's going on there because I mean, people say with the globe Earth, occasionally the core of the Earth flips and then the poles change, and right. Or the other explanation is that on the globe Earth, because you've got a crust on the liquid mantle, eventually the poles become top heavy, and because in the globe model, it's not purely spherical. The equator bulges out slightly, but eventually you get enough weight in the poles with the ice accumulation that they fling out, and that becomes the new equator. But I mean, I don't know now, and I'm even starting to wonder, for example, with the unusual lights you get around preceding earthquakes, like lights in the sky. There's a lot about our world and the way it behaves that we don't know, and we probably won't get to know because I think they hold this sort of information to have power over something. It's not for us mere cattle to know about it, so we can speculate, but probably by the time we get to see the truth is when the continental upheaval happens. Sometimes I even wonder, if the continents have shifted and
you start questioning everything, don't you? Have the continents ever moved? Have they? How would they move? Because again, the cartoony TV will show you maps where Africa and Brazil are joined, but the thing is they don't take into account sea level rise in their own model. So when they show you that, it's like, hold on a second. Like there was
Well, that's
a
the other
lot
thing I
more
was wondering
water
about. Is it
now.
that the amount the waters, like occasionally they get locked up and they flood and recede.
Mm.
So is it that the sea levels change, or is it that land masses go up and down?
I guess you could say maybe it's tectonic shifts as well, but then at the same time, that relies on you actually trusting that what they're telling us is the truth. How do we know these tectonics work the way they say they do? How do we know any of this stuff works the way they say they do?
Well, we're told it's the tectonic plates smashing together that cause mountain ranges, aren't we?
Yeah.
Because we're lied to about so many things, I find it very hard. Now, here's something which I do believe: Scotland and England are on two different continental plates, and that's why the geology of Scotland is different to England. And I think you can even say the Scottish and the English are a distinct race of people. Like people of Northumberland are different to those of Renworthshire or whatever it's called. I'm not sure what's the southernmost of the Scottish shires, but they are distinct people. And it's like, yeah, because they are of different soil. Funny enough, the Scottish.
You're probably looking at like the Black Isles and everything.
Well, they say in Scotland the Isle of Skye is like one of the oldest like geological formations like ever on, when the earth was cooling, like the Isle of Skye was like the rock that it's made out of was the thing that cooled like first. Like it was like one of the oldest geological kind of like, rock you can like go back and date like. So it's kind of like, yeah, but what you're saying about like Scotland's like geology rocks are, but then you question, well, there must be a fault line and if they're on two different continents. Why didn't they have earthquakes like they do in San Francisco?
Well, that's the bit I like to know, because I mean Edinburgh is a dormant volcano, and I'm thinking, yeah. So there's probably like actually, yeah, there is. There's a plate. Is it in Sicily or somewhere between Africa and Europe, and that's why Vesuvius occasionally pops its top and blows. And has Vesuvius erupted this year, or am I just imagining that?
Don't they keep saying that it's long overdue an eruption, don't they?
Yeah, I think there were some earthquakes around Vesuvius like in the last couple of years, so they're probably expecting an eruption soon.
Or maybe it's not an eruption. Maybe it was just like smoke's been seen out of Vesuvius. But yeah.
Well, normally for smoke it means it's going to erupt. Like it's close to the spearing, right? If you see smoke, it's already going to erupt. I mean, do you remember when was it? Remember when Iceland literally like exploded and that volcano erupted in Iceland?
Yeah.
I do remember that. I remember how clear the skies were after that because all the flights have been grounded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just seem to remember, it's like, wow, it's incredibly clear skies, and I just think, what would our skies look like if they weren't fucked with on the daily? Like, for example, I'm not sure if it was the same for you guys, but yesterday, beautiful sunshine. I mean, it's September, but I was out in the garden and sunning myself, and then I see these planes going overhead, spraying the skies in formation, and then it all sort of mists over. And today, it's just like it's completely overcast and it's a miserable drizzle.
It's cloud seeding, isn't it? Whether that's.
Yep.
Well,
they've basically admitted to clouds.
Yeah, Tactical Droid says in the chat. He says they say that about Yellowstone. It's going to erupt, guys. Anytime now.
Yeah, it's been going to erupt for the last 100 years, isn't it? Apparently.
Oh, but this one's going to be the worst. If Yellowstone erupts, it's the end of the world kind of thing.
This will be the one, guys.
Yeah, this is the doom and gloom. If Yellowstone goes, we're all going to be like, in the nuclear winter.
That recently they've sort of walked that one back, and they're like, well, we're not quite sure if it'll end the world if Yellowstone
just
erupts.
2 more weeks to flatten the curve of Yellowstone.
We reached the flatten the bulge, yeah?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
in addition to that, there's the other one. They're saying that it wouldn't be a world-ending event, but at the same time, it would be kind of bad. Gran Canaria could collapse, and if it did, it would cause a tsunami, which would wipe out the east coast of North America and probably South America as well. And then because it'd be such a big one that once the waves go back, it would wash up, and Ireland, Spain, and France are going to get quite wet as well.
Listen what John Kelly put in the chat. Now I am become HIV, the destroyer of faggots.
Oh dear. You seen Tactical Droid said, so Scots have been a problem since the planet's inception.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So is that the ancient Hyperborea, the very first land?
Oh yeah. Tactical Droid's right though, isn't it? There wasn't any magma come out of that one recently, was there?
No.
It was just smoke, weren't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't a pyroclastic eruption. It was just it farted.
Yeah.
Volcano farted.
So yeah, and then that leads on to the people who believe that volcanoes are fake, and every time you see this molten lava stuff, it's not real.
Yeah. Those people are absurd because they're probably the ones that will tell us that the Earth's round.
Well, I was just thinking, seeing as I'm a flat Earth enjoyer, I'd like to hear the logic behind volcanoes aren't real.
Yeah.
Well,
we have actual
I'm
evidence
not really.
of it.
Yeah, I'm not actually up on why they believe this, but I've just heard them in passing volcanoes are fake. It's kind of like everything else is fake though. This thing must be fake as well. Kind of. It doesn't necessarily follow.
Right, yeah.
It's kind of.
I think you do. I think you do have to. I think you do have to be careful. I think you do have to be careful in this kind of stuff. In the fact that you don't become nihilistic and don't believe anything at all you're told by anybody.
Yeah, then you just believe fucking David Icke and his lizard men kind of thing.
Yeah.
You start searching YouTube for news presenters that eyes glitch out for a millisecond. Right? Fucking...
mate, I done a whole year of searching for fucking celebrities whose eyes were turning into lizards and shit.
I need to look for that again. Have you seen that one where that reporter plays with something on her that's strapped on the inside of her leg, and then a camouflage glitches out?
Is it a willy?
Does it? No, she's got this black strap round her leg, and she's got something on the inside of her leg. She plays with it, and then her face starts glitching out. It's just weird as fuck.
Oh, so it's not Michael Obama. No, hang on.
No.
Yeah, that's right, Michael.
It's a adaptive camouflage device that's strapped to the inside of her leg because it's so convenient.
Yeah. So anyway, back to the strange shit that falls out of the sky. So in 1894, there were hailstones the size of hen's eggs. So there were some of these hailstones weighed almost 2 pounds each. So how do these things float in clouds? And how does anybody know how hailstones are formed, or especially large hailstones?
Oh, okay. I'm going to be Snopes on this one and say, there are hurricanes which lift up cars into the sky and they fly about.
Hailstones, how do they work?
Yeah, hailstones.
Does anybody know?
Right.
Well, yeah,
so...
I mean it's kind of like, right. So you've got gravity, right, and then you've got water, and as soon as it freezes, it becomes the gravity will then pull it towards the Earth's surface because it's it's now denser than the air around it, right?
Yeah,
but no, it's even.
So
I've found some science. So the large hailstones fall from deep cumulonimbus. That's a perfect pronunciation.
Hard to say.
Yeah, the cloud base may be 3,000 feet above the ground, with tops as high as 60,000 feet. Much of the cloud will be composed of supercooled water droplets. As the hailstone falls, it will collect water droplets, which instantly freeze and form a layer of ice. It may then be caught in a vigorous updraft, and as it is carried back higher into the cloud, it collects more droplets and ice. So basically, they float.
No, that's right. And
they're ready.
Yeah.
Okay.
the bigger the hailstones are, the more they've been going up and down, because like places like South Africa, they get big
Do you believe that
hailstones.
shit? Sorry, like everything you know about physics, do you actually believe that shit? Show me that happening. Not just tell me it, show me it.
I've
me
seen
then.
big objects floating in the sky. One of the
I want to
weirdest
see
things.
We've got camera technology these days, right? We just
Yeah,
stick a
but
camera in a cloud and track the mass going up and down. Because it must be going up and down for a while,
can't we just throw a GoPro hard enough so it just floats through the cloud like hailstones do?
Hobbit. What you saw while you were on LSD doesn't count, Hobbit.
The difficulty with trying to do Mad Fuzz's experiment is like clouds are opaque, so it's difficult.
Bollocks!
Can infrared? I don't think clouds block infrared, so maybe you could use an infrared camera.
I just want to see the bobbing hailstones inside a cloud. That's all I want to see. That's the
hailstone party.
I too want to see that.
Like a tall tale.
So I can buy the hailstone theory. You know that it's a super cool droplet that picks up droplets on the way down. Yes, I'm not saying I don't buy that one. The bobbing up and down doesn't sound quite right, does it?
I mean, how would you devise an experiment to monitor this stuff? I mean, what, a hot air balloon with a camera, or a drone, or gliders? How would you get a camera up there?
The hailstones are in the cloud going.
Mate, we can go We can go to space. We've been to the moon. Surely we can fucking put a camera in a cloud, there, right?
Yeah, but I'm trying to think of like the practical logistics. Like, okay,
holy shit! In 2000, how about this one then? In 2003, in Nebraska, a hailstone almost the size of a bowling ball fell on June the 22nd. So that had been bobbing up and down a real long time.
Yeah. How long does it take for these hailstones then to bob up and down before they finally are too heavy to bob up and down? How does this work? Fine, tell me.
You know, you got fridges which make ice cubes, like,
Hold on. I've got to read the rest of this. So layers build up on the hailstone, made of alternate layers of clear and opaque ice, and the cycle may be repeated until the stone is so big that it falls to earth. So it just floats until it's too big to come down, until it's too big to stay up anymore, according to BBC Science.
Yeah, well, according to BBC
Tactical Droid, the bit I'm reading in the BBC is kind of saying that hailstones bob up and down
until they're ready. You know, they're just
until they're big enough so they can't bob up and down anymore.
Until they get to the size of a bowling ball, right? You know.
I mean, what kind of vigorous updraft is going to throw it? What kind of? I mean, how much of a vigorous updraft throws a fucking hailstone? A load of hailstones back in the air.
Is it like a baby? You know, the hailstone sits in the cloud bobbing up and down for 9 months, and then the sky just shits it out.
Yeah.
This is it. We need timescale. How long does this process take? Is it minutes? Is it hours? Like, if it's minutes, right? Okay, maybe, right? If this happens within minutes, yeah, maybe, right? But if this is
premature ones,
maybe that's what the little ones are. Maybe they're all meant to be bowling balls.
I think this goes to prove just how little we understand about our atmosphere. Because how do these clouds form? Like, my understanding is, like, if you got a thunderstorm, you're going to have one of those big clouds that goes up and down the layer at like many thousands of feet. But then you got like these clouds which form at different layers. Like, you got the wispy ones, or the really high up ones, and then you got the little fluffy ones that are down. And now, of course, you've just got the amorphous haze everywhere, which has no definition to it. But back in the day, clouds used to have distinct shapes, and there was even these fun ones called lenticular clouds, which would form like just round shapes. But now you've got clouds which kind of just like follow the ripples of radio waves as
they're kind of fucked now, aren't they, Claire? They're kind of like amorphous now, clouds, aren't they? You don't really get like the really well-defined ones
that's what
anymore,
I mean to
do you?
say. We don't have natural water vapor clouds now. We've got clouds which are seeded with metals, usually aluminium oxide, but God knows what else they're spraying.
Yeah, in the cities, maybe, like around the cities, like in population centers. Yeah, but I think out in the countryside, you still get these kind of clouds. Like,
But I live in the countryside, and yes, occasionally I
really?
see natural clouds. But like I was saying yesterday, we got the sky sprayed over, and we just got an amorphous grey haze above us.
How about this? How about this line from this one? As late as November 1902, in Nature Notes 13-231, a member of the Selborne Society still argued that meteorites do not fall from the sky. They are masses of iron upon the ground in the first place that attract lightning. That the lightning is seen and mistaken for a falling luminous object.
Yeah, but lightning is like forks and flashes, whereas the meteorites form a streak which you can see.
Yeah. But yeah, this is
I've seen streaks in the
this is
sky.
how much. But this is how much science never used to be a consensus, did it? Everybody had their own theory, and then they had to prove it, didn't they?
Yeah. Science has never been a consensus. Some prick will always disagree with you. That is science.
Well, the point about science is like, yeah, okay, you can sort of say, well, that sounds most plausible. But if somebody comes along and is like, well, I've got a hypothesis here, and this is my evidence, and this is an experiment I've devised to prove it. That's how science used to be.
Science. Yeah, that should be how science works. Yeah.
I don't like how modern people claim to say the science is settled because it fits their political agenda.
It's just a religion, then, isn't it? It's just a faith.
Did you guys ever watch Futurama?
Yes.
Yeah. I liked Futurama.
Do you remember Professor Farnsworth and Professor Wernstrom, the way they interacted with each other? That's science.
Yeah, I mean, there's got to be big egos in science because there's some people, they just think they're big bollocks and they're out to prove everybody wrong, and that's part of it. And the other part of it is you've just got you've got inconsiderate, arrogant assholes who don't care that the truth hurts people, and they're just like, no, I'm going for the truth no matter what it is, and that's what we're looking for, and ultimately, science is going through a methodical approach to finding the truth.
Does anybody know what Bernoulli's principal effect that holds the hailstones? Apparently, it's something to do with warm up drafts of air. Apparently,
science has never settled because, one scientific advancement is only a couple of years from being proven to be wrong, and actually this is the way you should do it.
But what if the science is settled about sedimentary rocks? That sandstone, eh?
Oh, Bernoulli seems to be a fluid equation, though. What I see.
Well, I suppose, yeah. I mean, is the atmosphere gas? Is that like fluid? Because
it's a loose fluid, isn't it? It's the
I mean, it flows
the
like
atom.
fluid.
The atom. Is it? It's not atoms, is it? Well, I'm trying to think back to my old science days. Molecules. That's the word. The molecules are a gas is liquid when the molecules are further apart, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like a liquid will fill its container, but the gases will just dissipate out.
So Bernoulli's principle states that the increase in the speed of a fluid occurs simultaneously with a decrease in static pressure or a decrease in the fluid's potential energy. I think so. I don't think it's a fluid, isn't it? So it's not going to fit, is it?
It's not. It's solid, right? We're talking about hailstones. They're solid.
Yeah.
They're ice. How does that work then? They're not liquids.
Yeah, I
What
don't.
I think is that they're solid, going through gas, and then picking up liquid and freezing it.
Tactical Droids quoted me already. Said the atmosphere is not atoms. I didn't. No, I didn't. No, I was talking about gases. I was saying about it. I meant molecules, not atoms.
Molecules comprised of atoms. So Hemi is right. No.
Well, actually.
No, I said apparently I said the atmosphere is not atoms. Completely out of context. Thanks, Tactical Droid.
You know what, Hemi? You're probably more right than science.
We need an out of context Hemi's Clips channel.
Yeah.
Why can't I have an action man?
Interdimensional list that says maybe the meteorite is ball lightning.
Maybe it is.
Oh, apparently the floating ping pong ball trick is an example of Bumully's.
What?
Yeah. Okay. No, I've done this before, and it's really fun. So you get a hairdryer, and it's not just ping pong balls. You can do it with other sort of like beach balls as well. If you've got a wide enough diameter, you can make.
But don't they have to have air in the middle? Isn't it some sort of pressure differential that's making that work?
Yeah.
Because you're talking about beach balls and ping pong balls, which aren't solids. You couldn't do it with a pool. You couldn't do it with a pool ball, could you?
You could if the air was going fast enough. It's really a case of surface area and speed. Because if you think about it, those hailstones the size of hen's eggs, they're like a pool ball. And it's just the updraft is enough to... Yeah, because if you think about it, right, like if you see someone in a hurricane and they're walking along and then suddenly they get picked up and swept along, I mean, what's the surface area of like a 100-kilogram man to get picked up and swept along? Hailstones, even bowling ball size hailstones, I would say the surface area compared to mass.
Yeah, because these are rare events. They're not like everyday like meteorological conditions. So.
Well, no, I was going to say, like, if you're talking about really big hailstones like that, you've got to have like a pretty strong updraft to do it. Whereas the hailstones I've seen, they've only ever been about the size of like a petit pois.
But the large hailstones don't necessarily occur during that kind of thing. They just kind of drop out the sky. You have some weird weather, but you don't have hailstones dropping out the sky, do you?
I think probably the best way to like film hailstone formation would probably be to send up a rocket into a cloud with a camera, and then have like parachutes. And if for whatever reason like you're losing altitude rapidly, you have the parachute eject and then another parachute deploy, because might be your camera might have been hit by a hailstone or something.
And the drone, we don't even need rockets anymore. We've got drones, right?
Well, yeah, but but the thing is, like a drone's going to take a long time to get up there.
Stephen J. James says. Stephen J. James is back. He says my gran used to open her back door in a storm because she said a thunderbolt would come down the chimney and roll around the house if it didn't have a way out.
I love this stuff he comes out with.
Well,
my gran said no white guilt was meant to send her some merchandise.
Yeah.
I've seen people put in socket protectors because they don't understand how UK sockets are the safest thing in the world. So they put these plastic plugs on them, thinking that'll make things safer. But moving on from that, because that really pissed me off.
Yeah.
The reason I say use a rocket as opposed to a drone or a glider is because that's going to get buffeted around by the winds. Whereas if you send a rocket up there, it's not. I mean, sure, it's going to be buffeted around when it's parachuting down, but maybe you'll get some useful footage.
I thought you were just going to say because you're autistic and you like building rockets.
Well, also rockets are way more cooler than drones. Let's face it.
I agree.
Well, I think we're getting bogged down in hail, aren't we? I think we're getting bogged down in the hail. Yeah.
No,
but
it's
I think
a good thing to get
I think we're saying
because, like, how do you measure hailstone formation? I mean, trying to observe the stuff, you're just going to get buffeted around by the winds.
Yeah, and we've come to the conclusion that rocket good, drone bad.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I'll tell you a good day. You could attach it to a big hailstone.
Just do that.
Next time there's a big hailstone, put it in the freezer, and then we'll just throw it up there. Next time there's a.
Oh,
you've got a decent arm on your Hobbit. You'll have to throw it up there for us.
No, we just get a high altitude plane and fly through the cloud, and then turn around and fly back. Just keep doing that until the fuel runs out, right?
Yeah, but you'll get battered with bobbing hailstones.
Hailstones, yeah, exactly. All we need is like 5-second footage of a hailstone going up, right? That's all we need. That's all we need to prove this theory correct. It's 5-second footage of the hailstones actually going upwards. Yeah.
Tactical Droid says, "You ever heard of pink snow?" I haven't got a pink snow, but I do have a story about golden showers next. Where's this one? So, as to yellow substances that fall upon this earth, the endeavour to include extra mundane origins is the dogma that all yellow rains and yellow snows are coloured with pollen from this earth's pine trees. Simon's Meteorological magazine is especially prudish in this respect and regards as highly improper all advances made by other explainers. Nevertheless, the Monthly Weather Review, May 1877, reports a golden yellow fall of February the 27th, 1877, at Peclow, Germany, which 4 kinds of organisms, not pollen, were the colouring matter. These were minute things shaped like arrows, coffee beans, horns, and discs.
Someone put like the baking fucking shit in a.
Yeah.
Very bizarre.
Sounds like,
yeah.
Are these like types of algae or something? I've never heard of yellow algae.
I don't know. He's saying they're minute and shaped like arrows, coffee beans, horns, and he's just saying they were shaped like that. I think so. They were like weird shaped like yellow things that were in there.
I've seen diatoms. They look a bit like coffee beans, but you'd have to see them under a microscope. So.
Well, he doesn't say. He said they were minute. This was 1877. So, what was the standard of microscope at the time?
Yeah, no, they are pretty good optical microscopes in the 19th century.
All right. Okay.
So, what's this one?
Microscope.
In the Annals de Chimie.
For every time. I need it mad flash, you see, because I need to be able to look for my penis when I go for a wee. So I need an Ultron microscope.
I was just about to say, has no one picked up the fact that it happened in Germany? I mean, that's
right?
Something, golden showers in Germany. Who would have thought it?
So in the American Journal of Science, we are told of a yellow substance that fell by the bucketful upon a vessel one windless night in June in Pictou Harbour, Nova Scotia. The writer analysed the substance and it was found to give off nitrogen and ammonia and an animal odour. Ooh, literal golden shower. Literal golden shower.
Yeah. Literally.
Yeah, boys.
Did it fall out of a plane?
Like go hurricane chasing one day, and not hurricane, tornado chasers.
End up getting pissed on.
See where it ends up, yeah. Piss into one, see where it ends up, right? Yeah.
I mean, some of those things are mundane. Like Mexico City has this phenomenon known as brown smog, and when it's just dried feces. So when it rains,
yummy.
So imagine like an Indian city, but drier.
Yeah, why
does
that
that
not
count
happen in
as
India?
scat? If you go out in it, does it count as scatful?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Does anybody get off to Mexico City?
Count Dankula might.
Just like looking at Google Maps at Mexico City, it's like, oh yeah, that's filthy. Or
is it like this one? Where is it? How'd you pronounce Bouis? Bouis, Hobbit. How would you pronounce that if you're French?
Oh, you mean like the objects bobbing
like
in
Lewis?
The sea,
No. The bloke's name is M. Bouis. Bouis.
Bouis.
Like Lewis, but with a B.
Bouis.
I would assume it's Bouis.
I say Mbui says of a substance reddish varying to yellowish that fell enormously and successively or upon April 30th, May 1st and May 2nd in France and Spain, that it carbonised and spread the odour of charred animal matter, that it was not pollen, and that in alcohol it left a residue of resinous matter.
Ah, that is interesting, right? Because one of the things I remember them saying about when vehicles come from space, a couple of things. They need a decontamination crew. They're often very statically charged, so they have to be the people inside are told not to get out until they've been properly degaussed. But the other thing is, they say that when they come, the smell that comes off of these vehicles, they smell like burnt sacrifices. Like if you imagine you're burning an animal whole, like its meat and its fur and its flesh all together.
Well, this is
18. Very good.
What did I say? Oh, there's no year on this one. Sorry.
So what you're describing to me sounds like stuff from up on high, which has come down to earth. I often wonder about, like, isn't it weird that the vehicles that come from space they smell bad, and they smell exactly like a burnt sacrifice would.
So there was
those which have.
The next one we've got is more yellow. So we've got a yellow powder that fell in Garaci. I don't know, it's Italian. Calabria in March 14th, 1813. Some of this substance was collected by Sig Simonini, professor of chemistry at Naples. It had an earthly, insipid taste and is just described as unctuous. Now, unctuous means having revealing or marked by a smug, ingratiating, false earnest or spirituality. Oh, smooth and greasy in texture or appearance. So it was.
Sounds like my sack pipe.
So it had an earthy, insipid taste and is described as unctuous. When heated, this matter turned brown, then black, then red. According to the Annals of Philosophy, one of the components was a greenish yellow substance, which, when dried, was found to be resinous. Have I blown everybody away with that one then?
Pretty much,
Yeah.
I just wonder where it came from. I keep thinking it comes from up on high.
So when they say resinous, are they saying it's like a... Is this where soap bar comes from? It falls out of the sky and they dry it.
Bar comes from the sky of England.
I mean, you could always do a test, right? Put some mustard,
Yeah, tactical droid says it sounds like some sort of mold. I think we can. He's and then tactical droid talks about blue ice as well. Do you guys know what blue ice is?
Oh, that supposed to be?
It falls out of planes, particularly the toilet. That's what blue ice is.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's the frozen shit that comes out of planes, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh man! Imagine.
Well, it's got to go somewhere, lad. Do you know what I mean?
So when they're saying resinous, it's like they're saying it's like it's like really dense and sticky. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah. Resinous.
Can I smoke it?
They didn't try smoking it. All they needed was Nordic there. Just needed Nordic to test it. Can I test it, man?
No, you don't need all this equipment. Just me and my bong, mate.
Yeah.
They tested it, didn't they? They already tasted it, and they were like,
Yeah, they heated it, didn't they? And it went from brown to black, then red.
Oh.
Wasn't it this bit in the Fast Show where they had like this professor type, and one of the things is like, so what have you been discovering this week, Professor? Space bats. Space bats. You bet your ass.
So we've finished with the golden showers. We're now going to black stuff falling from the sky. So such a rain as that which fell in Ireland in May 14th, 1849. But I think it's more to do with when Charles Fort was alive, the 1800s thing, though. So described in the Annals of Scientific Discovery in 1850 in the Annual Register 1849, it fell upon a district of 400 square miles and was the colour of ink and of a fetid odour and very disagreeable taste. I love the way these people are getting it on their finger and, oh, look, this fell out of the sky, let's have a taste of it. Let's see what it tastes like.
Can we just taste this weird substance that's come down?
It did fall on Ireland. They probably thought it was Guinness or something, didn't they? Bigara, it's raining Guinness.
Wait, what year was that? 1840?
49.
Was that the year of potato famine?
Don't know.
When was the potato famine? That was in the 1840s, wasn't it?
Bloody potato famine.
Are we saying that the potato famine was caused by black inky rain?
No, we're saying that
45 to 52 was the potato famine. So it was during the potato famine.
Interesting.
Somehow they starved while they're surrounded by fish.
So the quote unquote scientific excuse for this is that is this rain the orthodox explanation of this rain occurs in Nature, March 2nd, 1908. A cloud of soot that had come from South Wales crossing the Irish Channel and all of Ireland.
Okay.
So just air from Wales then.
So that's debunked because is he saying this is acid rain, or is he trying to say that because we've got our emissions go over towards Norway and Sweden and stuff. So they don't have black inky rain, do they?
No. Not in a word. But surely black inky rain would have been falling everywhere during the 1900s, so it wouldn't have been an out of place thing.
Industrial Revolution. Yeah,
if it was soot. Yeah. The whole country was doing this. I mean, unless it was but you'd also expect that black rain would be falling all around London at the time, all around everywhere surrounding London at the time, wouldn't you?
Manchester, places like that, everywhere would just be black rain, right?
So there was black rain in Switzerland on January the 20th, 1911. Switzerland is so remote and so ill at ease is the conventional explanation here that nature says of this rain that in certain conditions of weather, snow may take on an appearance of blackness that is quite deceptive. What do you think to that explanation then, Humpet?
Just gaslighting. That's pure gaslighting, isn't it? It's not white, it's black. What are you on about?
It's just gaslighting.
Yeah, literally gaslighting. So we got the 14th of August 1888. There fell at the Cape of Good Hope a rain so black as to be described as a shower of ink.
Cape of Good Hope, interesting. I mean,
that's Africa, isn't it?
South Africa was never a heavily industrialized nation, was it? It's very agrarian, in fact. So that kind of rules out then the black smoke from some factory in South Africa, right?
Yeah.
So what else? No, I mean, I was just distracted for a second. What else? So we got some black rain in Slains, which I think is in Scotland. So January the 14th, 1862. Another at Carluke, 140 mile away from Slains. So you got two in Scotland at this time. But after two of these showers, vast quantities of a substance, described sometimes as pumice stone, but sometimes as slag, were washed up on the sea on the coast near Slains. A chemist's opinion is given that this substance was slag, and that it was not a volcanic product, slag from smelting works. So now we have 4 black rains contaminant that is irreconcilable with the origin from factory chimneys. Whatever may have been the quantity of this substance was so enormous that, in Mr. Rust's opinion, to have produced so much of it would have required the united output of all the smelting works in the world. If slag it were, we accept that an artificial product has in enormous quantities fallen from the sky. If you don't think that such occurrences are damned by science, read Scottish Showers and see how impossible it was for the author to have this matter taken up by the scientific world. So basically they just fucked it off, wouldn't touch it.
Yeah. It's kind of like ghosts, isn't it? Science won't touch that with a barge.
Fuck. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, what's that?
Guys,
Sounds paranormal.
What are you on about?
That's it. They termed it like paranormal, isn't it? It's kind of like conspiracy theorists to like smear it, kind of like, we don't want to talk about paranormal things.
What? You believe in ghosts, you fucking lunatic? What's wrong with you?
You say you saw dead people. Let's investigate. No, let's not investigate that.
Let's investigate you. You said you saw spirits and evil beings and stuff. Well, we've got this room we'd like to show you. It's don't worry, it's padded. It's padded for your safety. Don't worry.
So I've got some more here. So in Tim's yearbook, Tim's yearbook, 1851. 270, there is an account of a sort of rumbling as of wagons heard upward for an hour without ceasing. July 16th, 1850, Bulwick Rectory, Northampton, England. On the 19th, a black rain fell. So they heard a like real big rumbling, and then 3 days later, the black rain fell.
Chocolate rain.
So in Nature 30-6, a correspondent writes of an intense darkness at Preston, England, April 26, 1884. Page 32, another correspondent writes of black rain at Crowle, near Worcester, April 26th, and that a week later, May 3rd, it had fallen again. Another account of black rain upon the 28th of April near Church Shetton, so intense the following day Brooks was still dyed with it. According to 4 accounts by correspondents to Nature, there were earthquakes in England at this time. So there's another black rain in Canada on November the 19th, 1819. And this black rain was accompanied by shocks like those of an earthquake.
Maybe it's something from inside the earth then. It's been thrown out.
Could be. I don't think you'd have had a big... We don't have big crack, though. We only have rumbles, don't we? Because we're not really on any fault lines, are we? Mm-hmm. But it is weird you hear the big cracks. Yeah. Time of this is during the Industrial Revolution, though, isn't it? And they are quite common, these black... Yeah. They seem to be fairly common, these black rains, don't they?
Well, yeah, but it's, again, the explanation is the problem, isn't it? Some of them are in completely, like, agrarian areas, like South Africa. Meanwhile, it's all, like, heavily industrialised.
Uno says, I hope you're not trying to debunk my hero, Charlie Fort, Mad Flass.
No, I'm agreeing with him.
Yeah, but like you say, this stuff has been completely ignored. So because they're ignoring it, you don't know what was going on in the area, what possibility there was of it being a more mundane explanation, do you?
Exactly. I mean, I wish we could like find modern examples, like of. Unless it's all stopped, right? There must be modern day examples of this stuff, right? But then again, you wouldn't hear about it, would you? Because, well...
let's just Google. The problem is most of the things are black rain. You get the Michael Douglas film.
Or other things, you probably don't want to look at.
Yeah. I don't want. I'm not looking at the image search on that one. It's probably Rule 34, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'll try black rain weather, see if that throws anything up. Here we go.
I guess you could image search it as long as you pull your eyes out afterwards.
Oh, here you go. Here's one from actually last year. Incinerated coronavirus bodies, North Korean missiles and airplane spillages among theories to explain disturbing black rain falling over Japan. Incinerated, so they don't know now.
But they won't touch it, will they?
Well, this is actually from the Daily Mail, so it's being reported. Wow. Hasuda city officials issued a statement saying they're investigating the matter after receiving multiple complaints of black puddles in roads and on cars, according to Sora News 24. Some Saitama citizens expressed concern over possible nuclear-related materials in the atmosphere. Still only possible. Black rain came today over a wet... so all they're doing is showing people's Twitter things. So Asuda city officials were said to have measured radiation levels and found nothing out of the ordinary. However, they added the cause of the black rainwater was a mystery and further investigation was necessary. So more Twitter. There's no actual like this thing. It doesn't even sound like they've put this stuff under a microscope, even, does it?
Have they taken a sample of it? You know, further investigation. Yeah, we'll look at it. That's yeah.
We'll look. Don't worry. We'll look.
Yeah.
I've gone through the whole article and nobody's done any follow up on it.
Is there a picture of it? Like, did they take a photograph at least? Did they get photographic evidence of it?
There's photographs. I'll stick it up on the tubes. It seems to. It has some kind of.
Do you expect them to do their job? Jesus Christ!
Yeah, man, I do. I have high expectations of these people. These people, you know. These
people, man, Flag. These people.
These men of great knowledge and renown, you know, who, you know. But I guess
I'll just put it. So this is what it looks like.
Trust the science, guys. We won't tell us the science.
Right, let's see it.
So there's a swirling soot puddle. I'll put the pictures out. Fucking low res. What's the point of blowing up at such a low res picture? But they're like weird. It's like a weird sooty deposit.
Yeah.
But you would have thought they'd be quick to go like, oh, we've got it under the microscope and it's X or Y. But they don't even mention what the substance is in the rain.
Well, they haven't got the balls, have they? That's what it seems like. They haven't got the balls to even attempt to say what it is.
Yeah. So it's still going on now. So you can't blame the Industrial Revolution.
Exactly.
Unless you want to blame China because it is Japan and they really don't. Oh, black rain falls in Brazil. Weather.com.
Chocolate rain.
So it's still. I can't play the video.
Every time.
Video of it falling, then that's also if it's actually like been captured falling as well. That's more.
The video's gone though.
Interesting. Why?
Yeah.
Why would you? Yeah, okay, that's just puzzling.
You don't need this video, guys. What?
I've only found 2 stories about it though, but I think it's one of those. It's one of those things that's quite hard to Google unless you get the right. Unless you figure out the right keywords. That's what I'm using. I never use Google. I just use Google as a verb.
Have you tried it on Pornhub? See what comes up?
Yeah. Oh no. So anyway, that's black. That's black rain.
Can you imagine if you actually did search on Pornhub and they had more like authentic?
Grim. Yeah.
I don't know. That'd just be the biscuit, wouldn't it?
What Uno's saying? Resonance of the tilted Earth. What's he saying? What does that mean? Does anybody know what that means?
Is that the new theory that the Earth's actually tilted?
They hide
Fuck
it.
you, bigot.
So Uno says they hide it, send in the military first, and then silence observers. Well, it certainly does seem that way, doesn't it?
Oh, for a bit of black rain, huh?
Yeah. So right. So we're going from black rain. Now we've got red rain.
Oh.
So what cases have we got here? So upon November the 12th and 13th, 1902, occurred the greatest fall of matter in the history of Australia. Upon the 14th of November, it rained mud in Tasmania. It was, of course, attributed to Australian whirlwinds, but according to the Monthly Weather Review, there was haze all the way to the Philippines, also as far as Hong Kong. It may be that this phenomenon had no special relation with the even more tremendous fall of matter that occurred in Europe, February 1903. For several days, the south of England was a dumping ground from somewhere.
What?
Yeah. So there was... trying to find some
This
more about
definitely
it.
fell from... What, is it recorded in it? Well, I doubt they were, like... It was video or anything, but it was recorded saying definitely came from the sky, right? They didn't just wake up one morning and there was this red mud substance on the ground or whatever.
No, but they said there was a weird haze that. Where is it? I'm trying to dig out the actual cases while I'm going along. There's not so many on this one. So Nature, mate, of March 5th, 1903, another analysis, 36% organic matter. Such disagreements don't look very well. So in Nature, one of the differing chemists explains, he says that his analysis was of muddy rain and the other was of sediment of rain. We're quite ready to accept excuses from Most High, although I do wonder whether we're quite so damned as we were if we find ourselves in a gracious and tolerant mood towards the powers that condemn, but the tax that now comes upon our good manners and unwillingness will be too severe. So another chemist says it was 23.49% water and organic matter. He identifies this matter as sand from the African desert, but after deducting organic matter... Oh, so after deducting an unspecified organic matter,
right? Or is this
I think this
one?
is.
This is the UK. Which one is this? Is this the UK?
I'm trying. This bit isn't written particularly well.
Right. Okay.
Could it be Tasmania? I'm not sure whether it's south of England. So it's either Tasmania or the south of England or something. I'm not sure.
Right, okay.
It's not. It's not explaining it very well.
Did he start talking about the England one, then do this little spiel?
So you get the Australian one, and then it says for several days the south of England was a dumping ground from somewhere.
Right. Okay.
So
and then it goes on to that bit.
Yeah.
Right. So then it's probably talking about the south of England, but even then, that's still.
So they also talk about the coast of Newfoundland that they've put down as Sahara dust as well.
Fuck.
Yeah. So Mr. Clayton said that the matter examined by him was merely windborne dust from the roads and lanes of Wessex. So that's another one.
So this is interesting. I find this very interesting. So this is talking about like the Sahara sand, right? Ending up in England and Newfoundland.
So there's like a red dust. Well, I think what he's saying is they're trying to put it down as Sahara dust, but there was a big load of dust dumped on. It's been dumped on Newfoundland. There's some in the Canary Islands as well, southern England, Australia.
Right.
This one, like I say, this one isn't particularly set out very well, so you can't make out.
I mean, if it ended up in Tasmania, like the same stuff, right? It's like something like covered like a huge section of the earth.
But how about this paragraph might clear things up. So it says that up to the 27th of February, this fall had continued in Belgium, Holland, Germany, and Austria. That in some instances it was not sand, or that almost all the matter was organic, that a vessel had reported the fall as occurring in the Atlantic Ocean midway between Southampton and the Barbados. The calculation is given that England alone 10 million tons of matter had fallen, and it had fallen in Switzerland, it had fallen in Russia. Not only had a vast quantity of matter fallen several months before in Australia, but it was at this time falling in Australia. So this is 1903. So all this occurs in 1903, 1902, 1903. Enormously red mud 50 tons per square mile.
Across Russia, from England to Russia, 50 square ton, 50 tons per mile.
I know we've covered it before, but it's like the people saying, "Oh, here's a river of blood in Antarctica," but guys, don't get excited. It's just iron oxide. And it's like
Damien said, "Search Black Rain on Pornhub." No, you're right, Damien. You do it and tell it. You take you take one for the team, Damien. So we've got the Wessex explanation, or that every explanation is a Wessex explanation. By that I mean to attempt to interpret the enormous in the terms of the minute, but that nothing can finally be finally explained, because by truth we mean the universal, and that even if we could think as wide as universality, that it would not be quite requital to the cosmic quest, which is not for truth, but for the local that is true. Not to universalise the local, but to localize the universal, or to give a cosmic cloud absolute interpretation in terms of little dusty roads and yeah.
Let's cut the old English crap. He's basically saying Occam. They're trying to apply Occam's razor to everything.
Yeah, they're trying to hone it in on one bit that they can explain, and they're trying to explain the whole thing by that. Yeah. That's what he's saying. Yeah.
Rather than like saying, "Hey, there's a pattern here of things that don't make sense."
Oh, so we've got some difference. So with Sam from the Sahara,
right? That was 1903, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he's saying, so there are a whole, so different samples are described and listed in the Journal of the Royal Meteorological Society, or we'll see whether my notion that a chemist could have identified some one of these samples as from anywhere conceivable is extreme or not. So they've said stuff similar to brick dust in one place, buff or light brown in another, chocolate coloured and silky to the touch and slightly iridescent. It's been described as grey, red rust colour, reddish raindrops and grey sand, dirty grey, quite red, yellow-brown with a tinge of pink, deep yellow clay colour. So these are different things in different places.
All right.
What do you think, Hobbit, to this one then?
Well, again, I'm reminded of the rivers of blood in Antarctica, but also I've been distracted because I thought I was having deja vu, but no, a cargo vessel has struck ground in the Suez Canal.
Oh,
and I think to myself, hang on, hasn't that already happened? And it's like, yes. Now
has it managed to turn sideways? And is it Hillary Clinton's boat again?
Did it draw a penis this time as well, or did it draw a vagina?
I don't know. I haven't looked at the not flight plan, but boat path. But it's just like, what's the chances of that happening twice in the same year?
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
Is someone trying to destabilize the global, shipping?
I do wonder about that. I mean, I'm not a conspiratorial guy, but I would say they're doing a lot to try and fuck with people,
they seem
deliberately foment.
Yeah. They seem to be doing something to. They're trying to fuck the world food supply at the moment, aren't they?
Yeah. Fuck with everything.
I don't think we're buying Impossible burgers in the correct rates.
Yeah.
So I think this is Operation Make and Buy Impossible Burgers.
Oh,
but then again, I can debunk this with my recent visit to Burger King, because they've just fucked off the vegan burgers and they're just getting the meat burgers in. They were completely off the
that's
menu,
good.
the vegan burgers.
Face.
I was in Greg's yesterday and they didn't have any vegan stuff because someone went in there and asked and they were like, nope, sorry, we haven't got any vegan stuff
So
at
they
all.
got rid of that awful bean burger from Burger King then. Is that it?
Well, unfortunately, they're still selling this stuff in supermarkets. I went to Tesco and I was looking at the frozen pizzas and I saw the Goodfellas ones and I thought, oh, that's a meat feast. You know, it's got bits of meat and cheese and it all looks good. And so I pick it up and then it's only when I get home do I realise it says vegan. And then it's like,
Oh no! Oh no!
and I'm just looking at it and I was like, oh no. I mean, it does have a sign on it saying vegan. But
Yeah, but they've called it a meat feast. They've called it a meat feast, so they're trying to. Because most people just take a cursory glance at the food, and if it's a Goodfellas pizza, you know what you're buying, don't you? So you know, people will just give it a cursory glance. I had the same thing the other day with a vegan Magnums are exactly the same colouring as a mint Magnum.
Oh.
So you could accidentally pick up a vegan Magnum bar, a vegan Magnum ice cream without knowing.
That's it. It's a bait and switch. They make it look like you're getting the real deal, and it's only later when you've got and bought the stuff, and it's like, oh, I can't be. The shop's closed.
Well, that's the idea, because then you go, well, I've bought it now, I might as well eat it. That I think that's the idea, isn't it?
No, I chucked it out.
You should have took it back. You should have took it back. This is been conned.
Say, yeah, it's false advertising. You wanted meat, like, not fake meat.
No, because it does actually have two labels on it saying vegan. But I just looked at the big photograph of a yummy looking pizza with bits of meat on it, and I was like, yeah, that looks good. I'll have that.
You should have given it to the homeless hobbit.
Oh, come on. They've suffered enough. And anyway, Neil doesn't live anywhere near me, the fucker.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
If you want some exclusive OnlyFans content, the JG Elite channel's got a half-hour struggle session where I list 15 years of grievances with this homeless twat. Who I'm like, you know what? I'm glad he's homeless. Some people deserve to be sleeping rough, and I'm glad it's raining today. That makes me feel cozy.
By the way, if you sign up to our OnlyFans, please be aware there are lots of toe pictures. Blame Madwise.
You don't want to see my toes, man. Fucking hell. You won't have anyone fucking donating.
So the engines come thick and fast, almost from the beginning, and they you know, the hard R's are used.
Lick my toe jam. Call 0898.
Apparently, Emo put Frith made the same mistake with Speckled Hen, alcohol free. Damn.
Oh
no! Yeet myself from the building.
So right, so we've got some more. We've got some more red rains. I've actually found some. So the November 2nd, 1819, a week before the Black Rain and earthquake of Canada, there fell at Blankenberge, Holland, a red rain. As to sand, two chemists of Bruges concentrated 144 ounces of the rain to 4 ounces. No precipitate fell.
How do you control an ounce of rain?
But the colour was so marked that there had been sand, it would have been deposited if the substance had been. Oh, so what they're saying, they reduced 144 ounces of rain to 4 ounces. Is that right, Hobbit?
So basically, they're trying to separate. Yeah, they're trying to separate the materials, right?
And in quotes, they say no precipitate fell. So they're saying no sand fell. Is that what they're saying? But the colour was so marked that had there been sand, it would have been deposited if the substance had been diluted instead of concentrated. Experiments were made and various reagents did cast precipitates, but other than sand, so whatever was colour in this rain wasn't sand. The chemists concluded that the rainwater contained muriate of cobalt, which is not very enlightening. That could be said of many substances carried in vessels upon the Atlantic Ocean. Whatever it may have been, in the Annales de Chimie, How's my pronunciation there, Hobbit?
Yeah, you get a pass.
Yeah, its colour was said to have been red-violet. For various chemical reactions, see Quarterly Journal, Royal Institution 9-202, if you want to have a look at that yourself. So something that fell with the dust, said to have been meteoric, described in chemical March 9th, 10th, 11th, 1872, described in Chemical News 25-300 as a peculiar substance consisted of red iron, ochre, carbonate of lime and organic matter. So there's orange red hail.
Ochre was iron oxide.
Oh, is it? Red iron ochre. Yeah, sorry, that's all one. Red iron ochre. It was all one. It wasn't commed. Maybe it's the long. So orange. There was orange red hail, March 14th, 1873 in Tuscany. A rain of lavender-coloured substance at Udon in France, December 19th, 1903. So. In 1885, there was, according to Professor Schwedoff, there fell in Russia that's La Nature 1885-2-351. That according to Professor Schwedoff, there fell in Russia June 14th, 1880, red hailstones, also blue hailstones, also grey hailstones.
All the colours.
Yeah. Colours of the rainbow.
So how do we get, right, okay guys, right, science, tell me, how do we get red hailstones? Does the hailstone bob up and down in between the colouring, or what happens, like?
Obviously, it's in a blood cloud. Made from blood.
Blood.
Blood cloud.
Blood cloud. Yes. It's quite. I mean, if you're getting weird coloured stones in Russia, so you can rule out twisters and water spouts and bullshit like that, can't you?
Well, that would mean you'd see red clouds, right? Because obviously the cloud is then making the hailstone, and the matter within the cloud makes the hailstone itself, right? It's being consumed to make the hailstone. Then the cloud must be red.
Hobbit.
Okay.
How do you think we get red hailstones?
Black clouds as well?
You get them from the depths of hell.
Yeah.
Bob up and down, guys.
Bobbing for red hailstones. There you go. Free band name for anybody. Bobbing for red hailstones.
No, Blood Cloud sounds like a great band name, actually.
Blood Cloud, yeah, death metal would be a great dead metal. Blood Cloud.
Raining blood from a lacerated sky.
So in Venezuela, April 17th, 1886, you've got hailstones of red, some blue, some whitish. So not only are you getting single coloured hailstones, single coloured rain, you're now getting various coloured hailstones.
Is there a rainbow coloured one?
Rainbow, yeah.
Well, it's just not inclusive enough.
I'm surprised there's no rainbow coloured ones. They're just like, it's just bobbing up and down through a hail. It's like the Venus thing through swamp.
Hailstones are homophobic. That's what it is.
the hailstorm through a rainbow. You know.
Is hail based? Questions next.
Yeah, it's hail based. based. So what you got? So you got another one from July 5th, 1887. Quotes a Roman correspondent to the London Times who sent a translation from an Italian newspaper that said a red rain had fallen in Italy June 23rd, 1877, containing microscopically small particles of sand. So do you get microscopic sand? Because sand is just broken up rock, isn't it? How small does sand get?
I believe that sand forms. You got particles anywhere from 2 millimeters to 0.1 mil, and anything finer than that is called dust.
Yeah,
or silt, depending on how wet it is. I'm hoping there'll be some like dust rock aficionados in the chat who'll say, actually, Hobbit, the size range of sand is 1.76 millimeters to 0.15 mil. You got it wrong, you imbecile.
Yeah. You're lying to us, Hobbit.
Microscopic sound. Yeah. Right, so there's definitely confirmed then it has sand in it, right? So thus, where is the sand
they're saying sand, or are they misidentifying the sand?
Maybe
deliberately misidentifying the sand, because there's no kind of how does sand. All right, let's try searching for how does sand get into
sand,
clouds.
Again, exactly. How does sand get into clouds?
The sand game is good.
What are clouds? Clouds, water cycle. Sand cloud. Oh, these are talking about sand clouds, aren't they? Which are a different thing entirely. I mean, once dust is in a cloud, can it stay in a cloud? These are the kind of questions that we need answering, aren't they?
Supposedly, if hailstones can stay in a fucking cloud and go up and down, sand can, right? I mean, sand is is tiny little things that's within the water, right? It's not frozen or heavier than the air. It can be blown about, right?
Hold on, let's see what the Met. What is? Oh, what? Here we go. I found something from the Met Office. As in other parts of the world, the wind can blow strongly over deserts, whipping up dust and sand high into the sky. If winds in the upper part of the atmosphere are blowing north, dust can be carried as far as the UK. Once it is lifted from the ground by strong winds, clouds of dust can reach very high altitudes and be transported worldwide, covering thousands of miles. In order for the dust to get up from the sky down to the ground, you need something to watch it out of the sky. Rain. As raindrops fall, they collect particles of dust on the way down. When the raindrops land on something and eventually evaporate, they leave behind a layer of dust. Saharan dust is relatively common in the UK, often happening several times a year when big dust storms in the Sahara coincide with southerly wind patterns. In certain weather situations, Saharan dust can also affect air pollution and pollution levels. So that's what the Met Office has to say.
Well, the Met Office chats an unbelievable amount of horse shit, so...
What do you mean? Michael Fish... no, wait, weren't Michael Fish, was it? It was Michael Fish, wasn't it?
Michael Fish,
yeah.
It was, yeah. Oh, it's going to be sunny, guys. Fucking...
No. The one about... There are reports of tornado in England, and that's not going to happen. I think that was Michael Fish.
Yeah, that was him, yeah.
Did he say there's no chance of a tornado in England, and then there was one in Manchester?
Yeah. How about this one then? December 13th, 1887. There fell in Cochin, China, a substance like blood, somewhat coagulated.
Uh-oh.
Raining blood.
Raining blood.
We need that as a sound.
That's a good Slayer song, right? Yeah.
Oh, I wonder where Ulm is. Because apparently 1812 in Ulm, they found there was another rain of that kind of stuff. Oh, that's in Germany.
Oh. Yeah.
ULM. Ulm is a city in the German state of Baden-Württemberg, situated on the River Danube on the border with Bavaria. So in Ulm... Yeah, so... thick viscous red matter fell at Ulm in 1812. So that's red rains. So December 28th, 1860, about 7 a.m. in the northwestern part of Siena, a reddish rain fell copiously for 2 hours. A second red shower fell at 11 o'clock. 3 days later, the red rain fell again. The next day, another red rain fell. Still more extraordinarily, each fall occurred in exactly the same quarter of the town.
Say red rain 50 times really fast.
Red rain, murder. That's what you do.
Murder!
Oh, me. Red rain, nigger, red rain. Did I do it right?
Yeah, I think so.
You have to say in front of Michael Fish, though. It only works when you say
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So got some more. French Academy say that March 17th, 1669. So this is way before.
Wow.
So this is way before. So this is where you can start rolling out the Industrial Revolution stuff, isn't it? In the town of Châtillon-sur-Seine, fell a reddish substance that was thick, viscous, and putrid.
Oh.
That place doesn't sound real.
Oh no, I've got to say this. But in volume 40, so the story of highly unpleasant substance that had fallen from the sky in Wilson County, Tennessee, we read that Dr. Truth visited the place and investigated. Later we're going to investigate some investigations, but never mind that now. Dr. Truth reported that the substance was clear blood and portions of flesh scattered upon tobacco fields. He argued that a whirlwind might have taken an animal up from one place, mauled it around and precipitated its remains somewhere else. But in volume 44, page 216 of the journal, there is an apology. The whole matter is, upon newspaper authority said to have been a hoax by Negroes who pretended to have seen the shower for the sake of practicing upon the credulity of their masters.
Those pesky Negroes, how dare they?
Charles Fort's based. he's our guy.
Those pesky Negroes making up stories for popularity, how dare they?
Right, so what else we got? So we're going into the so we've gone from the strange rains, now we're going into the downright weird rains. So what else we got here?
What, you telling me raining blood's not strange enough for you?
Raining blood. Where is it?
The animals. Let's have some animals.
Yeah, I think that's what we're going into now. So, London Times, April 9th, 1836. Fall of fish that occurred in the neighbourhood of Allahabad, India. It is said the fish were of the chalwa species, about a span in length and a seah in weight. You know, they were dead and dry. Or they'd been such a long time out of the water that we can't accept that they'd been scooped out of a pond by a whirlwind, even though they were so definitely identified as a known local species. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Is it water spouts? Is one of the common explanations for this stuff. But it's like these water spouts. So the water spout has popped into the old river, but it's only picked out the chalwas.
Yeah, it's very selective.
Yeah.
It knows what it wants.
Oh, how about this? How about this one? Or they were not fish at all. I incline myself to the acceptance they were not fish, but slender fish-shaped objects of the same substance as that which fell at Amherst. It is said that whatever they were, they could not be eaten, that in the pan they turned to blood.
Really?
Bloodfish.
No, bloodfish. There was some Indian tried to cook this when it fucking fell on the ground, right?
That's Amherst. I don't.
All right, Amherst then.
Wherever that is, I'll see what I'll find out.
Right. Fucking racist, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you know, waste not, want not, right? You got to cook the fucking fish to start at the sky, aren't you?
Amherst is Massachusetts. It was probably them pesky Negroes again, wasn't it? Amherst is in Massachusetts, lads. Professor Hitchcock recognised it in a moment. It was gelatinous fungus. He did not satisfy himself as to just the exact species it belonged to, but he predicated that similar fungi might spring up within 24 hours. But before evening, 2 others sprang up. Oh, grim.
Wait, so they weren't fish, they were fungi?
Yeah.
That look like fish.
That's why they just fell to bits in the plan and turned into blood. Blood fungus.
Blood fish.
Blood fungus.
Blood fungus.
Right, so they're saying that So we're going into gelatinous stuff that's fell out of the sky now. So there's the Kentucky phenomenon. So it was called in its day. Now we have an occurrence that attracted a great deal of attention in its own time. Usually these things of the accursed have been hushed up or disregarded, suppressed like the 7 black rains of Slains. But upon March 3rd, 1876, something occurred in Bath County, Kentucky, that brought many newspaper correspondents to the scene. The substance that looked like beef fell from the sky. Upon March 3rd, 1876, at Olympian Springs, Bath County, Kentucky, flakes of a substance that looked like beef fell from the sky, from a clear sky. We'd like to emphasise that it was said that nothing but this falling substance was visible in the sky. It fell in flakes of various sizes, some 2-inch square, one 3 or 4 inches square. The flake formation is interesting. Later we shall think of it as a signifying pressure somewhere. It was a thick shower. It was a thick shower on the ground, on trees, on fences, but it was narrowly localised, or upon a strip of land about 100 yards long and 50 yards wide. For the first account, see the Scientific American 34-197 and the New York Times, March 10th, 1876. Hobbit, what do you think to this then?
Did they ever say what it was? Like it
So let's have a look. The substance, so Scientific American Supplement 4-426, that the substance reported from Kentucky had been examined by Leopold Brandeis. At last we have a proper explanation of this much talked phenomenon. It had been comparatively easy to identify the substance and to fix its status. The Kentucky Wonder is more or less Nostoc. Anybody know what Nostoc is?
No idea.
I'm going to tell you in a sec what Nostoc is. Right, so Nostoc. Oh bollocks! That's fucking. Nostoc is one.
A bit like Vostok. It's not Russian, is it?
Sounds like Nastoc. Nostoc is one important alga rich in polyunsaturated fatty acids, including essential fatty. No, that's not the definition I want, is it? Nostoc is a genus of filamentous nitrogen fixing cyanobacteria that form macroscopic or microscopic colonies and is common in both terrestrial and aquatic environments. Potts 2002. Also occurs in symbiotic association with liverworts, ferns and the angiosperm gunnera.
Do they have to always use such big words?
I don't know. I bet you're a chemist. If I give you the if I chuck that in general, can you tell me? Can you translate for us? I bet into English.
Yeah, translate it.
Why are you making me open my eyes? I want to go to bed. I'm in bed, actually. Well, let's not tell
in
people
general. Oh god, it does look horrible, that stuff, doesn't it?
All right, let's have a look at this. Nostoc. Hold up, Nostoc could be toxic. Let us have a look. Wikipedia's begging me to give them money. Fuck off.
Yeah, fuck off.
They've been doing that a lot recently.
Oh, apparently the Asians eat it. What a fucking surprise.
Well,
I'm shocked. I'm shocked to the core, I tell you.
It's algae.
Yeah.
The name Nostoc was coined by Paracelsus. Who's Paracelsus? That sounds interesting.
Paracelsus, born Theophrastus von Hohenheim, is a Swiss physician, alchemist, lay theologian, and philosopher of the German Renaissance.
Oh, okay, that's interesting. It says,
so they're going for the water spout, then, aren't they? So they've started at the water spout and worked backwards, haven't they? Because Nostoc can be found in soil on moist rocks at the bottom of lakes and springs.
Oh.
Still there, Robert?
Yeah, no, I'm just looking at it now and saying it's stuff like witch's jelly because it's not seen, but after a rain it swells up into a conspicuous jelly-like mass.
Yeah, so they're going to
Culinary
go, oh,
use.
it was there anyway, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, apparently anchovy melt like that in the pan. Uno says. From earlier, when they said they put the fish in there and it melted and it turned into blood. Bloodfish.
Hmm.
What do you think then, Hobbit? That to me seems like they've started at the end and worked backwards. We need to find something that looks like this shit. Oh, Nostock looks like it.
Yeah, often they're sort of grasping at straws, and I feel hypocritical saying that because one could say I was grasping at straws because, like earlier on, talking about like steam power in the Industrial Revolution, the lost time we had. I haven't even gone into that. There was two calendar, like Gregorian and Julian calendar, and the Russians were using the Julian calendar whilst most of Europe switched over to Gregorian, so their dates were not meshing with like Europe's dates, and that's why there was this big hoo-ha about adopting the Gregorian calendar in Russia. Because they're like, yes, but that's part of the evil West heretics, and they got that thing about saying they're Orthodox when the Catholic Church is the Orthodox Church. Long story, but I'm saying about being hypocritical because at the same time I talk about steam power and the Industrial Revolution. What was all that stuff about electricity and Tartaria and things before? Maybe that's why the Great Reset, or just like, no, we're going to make power from steam now, and we're not going to use free electricity. We're going to mine this stuff for some reason.
Well, this is the interesting thing, right? This stuff is this red liquid, right? Now, I don't know if you watched that video by that guy posted in the chat the other week. He was talking about this mercury-like substance. It was red.
Oh, yeah.
It's interesting. And if this stuff is the algae stuff, then yeah, I don't know what this could. Is this a byproduct of whatever this? What you're saying there, that technology. I don't know if this is true or not. It's pure speculation here, but it could be a byproduct of some like technological, fuel. From some machine or something. Yeah, I don't know. Because when I mean, most of this stuff, the reds, I mean, it could just be naturally in the atmosphere. We don't know. Could be under the sea. Could be, yeah, but where it comes from, who knows? Like, yeah, it just remind me of something like that. It's just this. It's always the same. Like, most of the cases here are this red color. It's like, oh, okay. I don't know. If it's happening today with the black rain thing, it's definitely still going on. Like,
I think the sticky masses are still about. They're still happening. So what else we got? So in Wilna, Lithuania, April 4th, 1846, in a rainstorm fell nut-sized masses of a substance that is described as both resinous and gelatinous. It was odourless until burnt, then it spread a very pronounced sweetish odour. It is described as like gelatine, but much firmer, but having been in water 24 hours, it swelled out and looked altogether gelatinous. So this stuff is like... So it's dry. This stuff seems to be dried, doesn't it? So, because they said they left it in water for 24 hours, but these things are supposed to be floating around in clouds.
Yeah. Well, the one that was interesting is the one that fell from the clear sky, isn't it? It's like, did it actually fall then? Did someone see it fall? Did they see it fall, or...
Well, they saw the beef fall. The beef is the only one they've specifically mentioned that people saw it fall.
Right. So it could have just come from the ground, right? Up from the ground.
Yeah.
Because there is the other thing about like the liquefaction stuff, like the Earth like becoming liquid, and then like again, if you know about liquids, and the lighter stuff will then rise to the top, kind of, it's like a soup, and it will just like separate itself, right?
So then you got another one in 1894. Thousands of jellyfish about the size of a shilling had fallen at Bath in England. I think it's not acceptable they were jellyfish, but it does look as if this time frog spawn did fall from the sky and may have been transplanted by a whirlwind, because at the same time small frogs fell at Wigan in England.
Pretty powerful, like
June 24th,
right?
June 24th night. I'd say frog spawn's more likely to be a water spout or something, because frog spawn sits on the top, doesn't it? So if that's the explanation, I think that's it. That seems plausible-ish. I don't know how it actually works. I don't know whether we even have whirlwinds that powerful. But I'd say it's possible. I think fish and things like that, probably not, because it's got to go into the water and pull these things out. But frog spawn does sit on the top of the water, doesn't it?
Yeah, or underneath lily leaves.
Yeah.
Lily pads.
But then again, you don't have algae falling, you don't have lily pads falling. So you know these are the whirlwinds are very selective in what they pick up, aren't they?
Oh, everybody knows that. Like, these storms are very discriminate in what they pick up and what they sit down.
Yeah, they sift through, don't they, and then drop it down when they're done.
This could be related to also what you posted about the frequency thing, about like, could this be it's only picking these things up because it's at a certain frequency, they're resonating with whatever this phenomena is and dropping them because they resonate with that? Because it's only just this thing. I mean, if it was a whirlwind, you'd find tree bits and everything else that was in the area.
Yeah, you'd find all kinds of shite in it if it was a whirlwind, wouldn't you?
Yeah, it wouldn't. Well, from what we know about whirlwinds, they're not discriminatory, right? If it's not nailed down, it's fling it up in the air, right?
Yeah.
So even if it's nailed down, it's getting flung up in the air.
Is this the first evidence of racist whirlwinds? Fucking discriminating against the frog spawn, right?
Well, this is what Charles Fort says. So Charles Fort says here, he says that the phenomenon has been investigated by Reverend L. Jenkins of Bath. His description of minute worms in filmy envelopes. He tries to account for their segregation. The mystery of it is, what could have brought so many of them together? Many of the falls we have record of, and in most of them, segregation is the great mystery. A whirlwind seems anything but a segregative force. Segregation of things that have fallen from the sky has been avoided as most deep died of the damned. Mr. Jenkins conceives of a large pool in which there were many of these spherical masses, of the pool drying up and concentrating all in a small area, of a whirlwind then scooping it all up together. But then they don't mention that there's mud and shit in there as well, do they? So surely it'd be thrown down muddy.
The gymnastics to try and prove his hypothesis. It's just so it's a small pool of dried up frog spawn, and then the whirlwind magically just whirlwind that part. Okay. Yeah, nice one, Mr. Science Man.
Yeah.
They come out with these crazy things. Just believe them.
Yeah, let's apply Occam's razor to that.
Yeah.
What's more likely? It's a racist tornado.
How about this one in 1829? In Persia fell a substance that the people said they've never seen before. As to what it was, they had not a notion, but they saw the sheep ate it. They then ground it into flour and made bread, said to have been passable enough, although insipid. Fucking mad bastards.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake.
Fucking mad bastards.
Well, if the sheep's eating it, then we can eat it.
Yeah, the sheep's eating it. The sheep's eating it right now, and it hasn't died instantly, so we'll just fucking make bread out of it, shall we?
Yeah. What? So if it's good enough for the sheep, but it's not good enough for you, you fucking bigot.
Hey man, yeah, like fucking my dog's eating that rat that's been run over. That fucking
Yeah,
rodeo.
Must be all
I'm just
right.
gonna go eat it now.
Must be fine. So how about this one then? In the year 1686, some workmen who'd been fetching water from a pond 7 German miles from Memel, on returning to their work after dinner, during which there had been a snowstorm, found the flat ground around the pond covered with a coal-black leafy mass, and a person who lived near said he'd seen it fall like flakes with the snow. Some of these flake-like formations were as large as a tabletop. The mass was damp and smelt disagreeably, like rotten seaweed, but when dried, the smell went off. It tore fibrously like paper. Classic explanation: up from one place, down in another. But they're kind of really weird substances, though, aren't they? Or are they weird substances because they're out of their element and they're not where they're supposed to be? What else we got? So there's another one. There's a substance like charred paper fell in Norway and other parts of Northern Europe, January the 3rd, 1686. See, this brings us on to the next question. Why isn't this shit falling out the sky now?
Maybe it is. Again, how would, maybe it's just not reported. Or if it is, it's...
Everyone's indoors, so nobody notices. Whoa.
Yeah.
True. I mean, it does seem to be happening again, but it's relegated to the back end of fucking, your local fucking nutcase newspaper. Like, you think that fucking lizard stole his bike,
Yeah, and that volcanoes aren't real.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, how about this one then? Mystery black rain hits Michigan town. Tar-like substance falls from the sky and leaves residents bewildered as it covers cars, porches and driveways. Actually, I'll show you this one. So it's still going on now, but why isn't this stuff bigger news? So, city in Michigan is perplexed after a tar-like substance has rained down on their cars, porches and driveways this week. Michigan Department of Environmental Quality officials collected samples of the substance on Wednesday. So samples have been collected. Said everyone's concerned about the substance. Residents originally believed the substance could have come from the nearby Selfridge Air National Guard base. Why would it come from a National Guard base?
In full hat time. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it comes from the National Guard are over there. That's got to be where it came from. Oh, it looks really bad, doesn't it? Michigan Department of Environmental Quality officer said it could be at least a week before the organisation discovers what the substance is. So they've got at least a week to hide the story then.
Yeah.
Yeah, well that's the thing. They'll publish it in some back note, section of the paper that no one reads, and that's it. Then when someone says, "Oh, what happened to that thing?" they'll just say, "Oh, we did post it. It's just you didn't probably see it because it wasn't a big thing, was it?"
They got a week to pay everyone off and shoot the people that won't take the money.
Give them a week.
Oh, it was a magical car accident.
Aye.
Yeah. Oh no, the steering just went. It was weird.
Yeah. Amazing. Who would have guessed it?
And the samples got destroyed in this fire by accident. No.
Yeah.
In the Annals of Philosophy, 1293, there's mention of a fibrous substance like blue silk that fell near Naumburg on the March 23rd, 1665. According to Chilani, the quantity was great. He places a question mark before the date. So there's a fall of a substance described as cobwebs in 1881 in Milwaukee. So they're blaming aeronautic spiders for that. gossamer spiders because of the extreme lightness of the filaments they cast out onto the wind. But like, must be fucking hundreds of them. But then again, have you seen those trees where they get completely covered in spider webs? You've seen those trees? Yeah.
But
But it's popular if you.
So they're trying to say that it was a load of these things did that, right?
Yeah, in Ireland, there's an extract of a letter by Mr. Robert Vans of Kilkenny, Ireland, dated November the 15th, 1695, that there have been of late in the counties of Limerick and Tipperary showers of a sort of matter like butter or grease, having a very stinking smell. There follows an extract of the letter by the Bishop of Cloyne upon a very odd phenomenon which was observed in Munster and Leinster, that for a good part of the spring of 1695 there fell a substance which the country people called butter, a soft, clammy and of dark yellow, that cattle fed indifferently in fields where this substance lay. It fell in lumps as big as the end of one's finger. It had a strong ill scent. His Grace calls it a stinking dew. That's DEW. In Van's letter, he said the butter was supposed to have medicinal properties and was gathered in pots and other vessels by some of the inhabitants of this place. So in the following volumes of philosophical translations, there is no speculation upon this extraordinary subject. Ostracism, the fate of this datum, is a good instance of damnation, not denial and not by explaining away, but by simple disregard, which is something they still do to this day, don't they? If something doesn't fit into the model, it gets thrown out, doesn't it?
That's correct. Yeah. That is a peer review process right there. If it doesn't work like that. Wow,
the IPCC, the International Panel on Climate Change, said, whilst we don't accept that the sun has any effect on the weather, so we're not putting it in our models.
Yeah, the sun's got nothing to do with it, has it?
Nah.
Yeah.
No.
What we got?
Gravity defying hailstones?
Hey.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Madfuzz, I just realised the schizos who say volcanoes aren't real is the IPCC, because they deny the existence of the CO2 emitted by volcanoes.
Volcanoes.
Oh, how about this? How about this one, guys? All right, so I've got one before that. Hail and ashes in Ireland. So something that tasted like orange water in hailstones about the 1st of June 1842 near Nimes, France, identified as nitric acid. So how would that get up there?
Whirlwind, mate. It's all whirlwinds.
It's a whirlwind.
Always was,
Elizabeth, New Jersey, June 9th, 1874, fell hail in which a substance said by Professor Leeds of Stevens Institute to be bicarbonate of soda.
You know what? These whirlwinds, they're just trying to make a beverage, man. They're just obviously they're trying.
So did the whirlwind destroy Lab?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say these whirlwinds, they need chemical plants.
This is the one I noticed before the other bit. Before the other bits, there is in philosophical transactions. That sounds like a good thing to read, doesn't it? There's some weird shit in there, isn't there? Account of a seeming cereal said to have fallen in Wiltshire in 1686. Said that some sort of the wheat fell in wheat is in quotation marks fell enclosed in hailstones, but the writer in Transactions said he had examined the grains. They were nothing but seeds of ivy berries dislodged from holes and chinks where the birds had hidden them. If birds still hide ivy seeds and if winds still blow, I don't see why the phenomenon has not repeated in more than 200 years since.
Chinks in 19th century Europe?
Yeah.
Get out of town.
They get about everywhere.
Or the red matter in rain at Siena, Italy, May 1830, said by Arago to have been vegetable matter. It seems like Siena has these quite commonly. Why would Siena have these commonly?
Is Robert in his car?
No, he's in his bed and his phone's not near his face.
Sounded like he was in his car then.
Oh, how about this one then? Dr. A.T. Machati, FCS, writes that London, Ontario, February 24th, 1868, in a violent storm fell with snow, a dark-coloured substance estimated at 500 tonnes, over a belt by 50 miles by 10 miles. It was examined under a microscope. Finally, someone's got a fucking microscope out. By Dr. Machati, who found it to consist mainly of vegetable matter, far advanced in decomposition. The substance was examined by Dr. James Adams of Glasgow, who gave his opinion that it was the remains of cereals. Dr. Machati points out that for months before this, the ground of Canada had been frozen, so that in this case, more than a ordinarily remote origin has to be thought of. Dr. Machati thinks of the origin to the south, so it's like, oh no, it can't come off of our ground, so it come off them down there, the Yanks. However, he says this is mere conjecture. March 24th, 1840, during a thunderstorm at Rajkit, India, occurred a fall of grain. It was reported by Colonel Sykes of the British Association. The natives were greatly excited because it was grain of a kind unknown to them. Usually comes forward a scientist who knows more of the things that natives know best than the natives know, but so happens the usual thing was not done definitely in this instance. The grain was shown to some botanists who did not immediately recognise it, but thought it to be either a spartium or a vitia. Do you want to put a pin in it there? Because the next bit is lead, silver, diamonds and glass. Do you want to leave that for next week, or we'll pick it up at a later date?
Yeah, I mean, that might be interesting. Yeah, I think.
Isn't that a popular Ebonic talk show in America? Lead, silver, diamond and glass.
Lead, silver, diamond and glass. Yeah, it's them two ladies, aren't there?
Yeah.
Diamond and silk, are you talking about?
Yeah. Lead, silver, diamonds and glass. They do a panel show now, don't they? They've got two mates on there.
You got a lead and glass on there, yeah.
Yeah, lead and glass are joined, and there's four of them. It's like Loose Women, but with blacks that love Trump. So we'll put a pin in it, and then we'll do the weirder stuff.
Yeah.
That was the foreplay, right? Of the.
Should we do a quick seminar? What do you guys think to all this then? This stuff that's falling out the sky, and it's still falling out the sky because you can still find the articles on it, but it's.
No, it's definitely strange.
Yeah, especially the red one. I find the most interesting. I'm gonna have to look this.
Yeah, because they're just
algae or whatever it is. Yeah. And other than the fucking hailstones thing, man.
What hailstones floating?
Yeah, the floaty stones. Yeah.
They just go up until they're too heavy, and then they come down.
That's how gravity works, right? That's how you tell gravity works. Yeah.
Science, bro. Just trust the science.
Oh, how about this one? This one's Science Focus. Trying to find the date on this one. I can't find the date on it yet. August 1994, a resident of Oakville, a small city in Washington, US, has reported translucent gelatinous blobs about half the size of a rice grain covering the ground. She said that they rained down during the night and believed they may have caused her and her mother to subsequently develop flu-like symptoms. Over the next 3 weeks, there are another 5 reports in the local area of these strange blobs, with several people claiming they've fallen ill as a result of contact with them. A microbiologist at Washington State Department of Health found the blobs contained 2 species of bacteria, although there was no suggestion the bacteria were harmful. Various theories have suggested to explain this event, including inevitably military classified weapons testing, but there's no evidence to support this. No, yeah. Oh yeah, because you doing any classified military weapons testing? No, we're not, mate. Oh, okay, then see you later.
Yeah, pretty much.
Nor is there evidence for the idea that jellyfish were shredded into pieces and swept up into the stratosphere by US Air Force bombing practice in the nearby Pacific. That'd be a big fucking bomb to throw it up into the clouds, wouldn't it?
one of the nuclear tests.
So these cover stories, man, are just hilarious.
It's possible the blobs didn't fall from the sky at all and simply appeared on the ground overnight. A similar substance called star jelly has been mentioned in scientific reports and poetry since at least the 17th century. Substances that people have called star jelly have come from a variety of sources: amphibians, algae, slime molds, and even crystals of sodium polyacrylate, sometimes used in agriculture. In 2012, sodium polyacrylate absorbed water from a storm to form gelatinous blobs in Bournemouth. Maybe the Oakville blobs are something similar. So that substance that they use now, have they been using that since the 17th century, have they?
Here's the thing, like, right, this would then prove the falling from the sky thing false, is if you could find it appearing inside of buildings. It's just something that occurred to me, like, all these events are before the invention or the heavy use of concrete, of paving the roads and streets with this kind of, the concrete we use today, right?
Yeah.
Now, if it is from the ground, would that stop it coming to the surface? Is that why maybe it isn't from the sky, and it's in most of these cases it's from the ground?
Well, also people are around at kind of all hours of the day and night, aren't they? And a lot of the reports, even from the Charles Fort book, they're saying that apart from the beef that was falling from a completely clear sky, nobody's saying they saw it fall. Most of them are saying they found it in the morning, aren't they?
Yep, in the morning, yeah.
So maybe finding it is different to it falling from the sky, from the sky, maybe.
I mean, yeah, again, you'd have to find evidence of it appearing inside of buildings then as well, like if it was coming from beneath.
Maybe like the concrete thing, but houses are a lot better built than they. But people back then,
buildings, yeah, maybe
people back then weren't saying it appeared inside.
Yeah, look where it appeared. Like, where did it appear? In fields and like places that weren't urbanized, right?
Yeah.
Is that mostly true for all of it? It was mostly in like non-urbanized areas, right?
Yeah.
So it was not where a load of like, this concrete or stone or buildings would have been. So does that mean that's a justification for why it's only appearing in these places, because it is coming from the ground?
Could well be.
I mean, that would require then more testing, obviously. Like, yeah, again, like it says, you've said, it's nothing here says it came from the sky other than that one thing about the beef or whatever it was.
The weird beef stuff that fell out of the sky.
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of people are saying. Well, you've also got the rains, haven't you? But as far as the sticky stuff goes, the sticky stuff hasn't been definitively said it came down with the rain, has it?
No. So that the more solidest matter could be coming through the ground, up from the ground.
Well, but it would be. But these events aren't commonplace. That's why they're being reported. So if it was coming up through the ground, it would be a naturally occurring thing, wouldn't it?
True.
Which means everybody would know about it and nobody would report it.
True, but then again, like with Hobbit and his vegan pizza, how many people take notice of what the fuck comes out of the ground?
Yeah.
Or what's going on around them?
Well, I think you'd know about the slime coming out of the ground when you're like big bits of jelly and that on the ground and stuff.
You probably just thought, oh, that's just a fucking rock, And I'm
Can
going
I
in
just
for
say
nice
that
cheese pizza.
You say that,
the
Hemi,
vegan
but
pizza shows that we are all fallible and we can all be duped by this evil system.
Well, it's like you say that, but nobody seems to have noticed the horde of fucking niggers that's running around our country causing havoc.
What? Throwing dead hogs all over the place.
Yeah.
The Negroes. So what do you think? What do you think to what you've heard so far in Hobbit?
The Negroes.
They make your knees grow. I saw a coon the other day, and he wasn't stabbing or raping anyone.
Anyway, back from the racism, because that's Tuesday night. Back from the racism. What do you think? What do you think to the rains, and what do you think to the slime? Do you think they're two separate things, or are they together?
I see the rains down in Africa.
I asked for that one. Come on then, Hobbit. Come on, I'm going to nail you down. You're gonna have to give me a what do you think of it? What do you think about it? So do you think this stuff is falling from the sky, or do you think it's springing up out of the ground?
It's one of those things where if I haven't seen, I'm going to have to be awful and sit on the fence on this one. Until I've seen it myself, I can't say. I mean, there are stories of things falling out the sky, and I'm just going to say, okay, those people are probably telling the truth. And it's not the first time it's happened. So, as for it coming out of the ground, again, it's one of those things. Like most of tonight, I've just been thinking up how would I make a rocket with parachutes and a camera that records hail formation. Because I tell you what. Very little is known about cloud formation. It's hard to get good science about it these days because so many clouds are artificial, and I think this is something that. Where are you going to get the grants to do cloud research? So here
we go. Then do you think the reason we don't get this shit anymore is because of all the bollocks we're putting up in the atmosphere?
Yeah, because that will affect things a lot. I mean. The past few days, I just felt like the weather's been very artificial, and this year with the floods everywhere as well, it's just that doesn't make sense.
I've got to ask a bit. If something weird fell out of the sky, would you be grinding it up and making bread out of it? as long as the sheep were eating it.
Would you put it on your vegan meatball pizza?
Yeah.
Well, and then feeding it to sheep. Yeah.
Oh shit! Yeah, but Bjarki's mentioned those fish in Africa, the ones that sleep in the dry mud, don't they? They're hibernate or something, don't they?
About this.
Yeah.
The part this year, and I'm not sure. No,
I'm only listening to it if you made bread out of it at the end of it.
Well, you can actually, because I walked around the field because I saw this fluff around, and I was asking neighbours and my grandma said, "Have you ever seen this fluff before?" And it's no, never. And I said, "Well, there is a flax field growing there, but I mean, I had to look at it and I didn't see any wispy bits of fluff from it. And I just thought, where on earth is this fluff coming from?" And I started talking to people in my town.
Sheep or anything.
No, it's not wool. It's finer than wool, and there's no sheep around. There are cows, but not sheep. And it was very strange, and there's still little bits of it here and there, actually. And I just thought to myself, I was trying to talk with flax farmers, but funny enough, there's not really any communities for flax farming where I could just say, "Hey, do you get this fluffy fibers everywhere with it?" Because it just seems to keep falling from the sky. And I just thought to myself, are they experimenting on this? Are they just doing some sort of we're going to drop these fibers on you? I should look at some of these under a microscope. I don't have a microscope anymore. I've got some 60x magnifying glasses, but mind you, that 60 times magnification is enough to see pube worms in the paper masks.
Yeah. You haven't needed that microscope since you got that pinoplasty, have you, Hobbit?
I'm not saying what I used it for, but let's just say I used to take pictures of flowers and then send it to my dealer who was interested. Yeah.
One of those sorts of...
I'm talking about tulips.
Yeah.
He was very interested in the pollen occurring on the stamens.
Yeah, I bet.
So, do you know NASA Sky Serpents? Review the documentary NASA Sky Serpents. What else he said? If you want to talk madness, there are beings in there. There is a bunch of weird flying translucent creatures that live high up in the sky. Do you know about this, Hobbit?
How are they? I mean, I know birds live in the sky, but okay, carry on talking because it doesn't make sense. Don't ask me anything.
Well, we'll have a week off. Well, it's actually it's episode 100. Do you think we should just like blow everyone's minds and do another Flat Earth episode?
Oh, they would love that, wouldn't they?
Russell, some jimmies.
I still remember last time the chat was mental.
I cringed at the last one you did. I really did.
Look, Hobbit had
Flat Earth bonanza.
Don't be a prick.
Yeah.
Is he a flat? Hobbit has questions.
The fuck? I'm just having a look at these sky
Just
serpents.
had some questions, is all.
Yeah.
That meme that Hobbit put in Doodling Pad, metal before it was cool, and it's just molten metal.
yeah, I like that one.
Autistic memes.
Well, I think we're all done now. I've entertained everybody enough tonight.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cheers, guys.
Night all. Go away now.
Thanks.
Stay spooky.
Bye.
Stay spooky.